Also broadcasting? Okay, now we're broadcasting. There we go.
It's going, sorry.
No, it's quite all right. Thanks, Brad. Welcome, everyone. We are now going to start our City Council work session for February 2nd, 2021. Renee is not going to make it. Her had a bad headache, and so she's excused or whatever. Hope she feels better soon. We have two topics on the work session agenda, but I want to, unless there's over majority objection, I'd bounce the sign code forward, is when it's on the public hearing later this month or whenever it is. I want to extend it again to post to a date when we think we're past COVID. So let's talk about pedestrian bridge planning contracting.
So Mayor, just a point of clarification, because I've got two staff here that were here for that sign work session. Does that mean we're not going to be having the sign work session this evening?
I'd rather not. It's 8:45. I think we were running very long.
What does the rest of the council think?
I think we're still in COVID, and I appreciate all the work staff has done. Let's just shelve it for a little bit longer. You have all your slides ready for when we're ready to go back, and
Yeah,
I have no interest in doing anything that's going to harm our businesses right now.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't think there's any difference whether we do it during COVID or before COVID or after COVID, because it hurts our businesses either way. But if everyone wants to move it, we're moving it.
Awesome. So, Julia, you can.
Yes. So Erica and Dan, sorry, bye. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Everyone was checking in from home.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, I am going to attempt to share my screen. I don't know that I've really done this via Zoom, so hopefully this is going to work. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So Bob Galati is here as well to go through this, but we were asked to do a presentation to kind of talk about moving the pedestrian bridge forward to construction. So that's the purpose of this this meeting. Just a very, very quick reminder, we've done the feasibility study that identified the general length, location, and alignment of the pedestrian bridge. It's about 620 feet long with ramps and stairs, 12 feet wide. The feasibility study had a initial cost estimate of 17.5 to 21.7 million, but then we consulted some manufacturers of prefabricated structures and got that down to 10.2, between 10.2 and 11.5, and that's really the number we're working on as we're seeking outside funding. And the most important thing to realize or note is that it really provided high-level estimates and that we still need to do some design level work. So, oh, I did animations. I forgot about that. Sorry. So the proposed timeline to get us to a bridge. What was that?
I say animations are great.
I know. So Bob has actually started drafting an RFP request for proposals for some design services that, based on direction, we can proceed pretty quickly if that is the direction. So we think between February and March, we can get that ready, bid, and begin that process to do an RFP for design services to get to 30%. And I'll talk in a little bit about what that means and why we think that's important. And then at the same time, what we anticipate is conducting an RFP for prefabricated bridge manufacturers to submit design options and services to select a specific bridge. We know we can do it, but we need to pick what bridge structure we want to be folded into that 30% design work. In April and May, we would do contract negotiations, scope of work, take it to council for contract approval. And then in between June and September, we believe we could be doing the design work, have the consultants doing the design work. And in that process, there would be some public outreach opportunities, council input during this phase to select the bridge type and to provide additional input on design elements. And then by September, we would have 30% design done. And then we would go back to the council to get input on how we want to proceed. There's a design build or a design bid build, and I've got a slide in a second that kind of explains the differences between those two, but we don't need to make that decision now. In fact, we don't think we should make that decision now. We need to get a little bit more detail before council proceeds with that decision. And then once that decision is made, depending on the decision that's made, there's two paths. One is design build and one is design bid build. In both scenarios, again, this is, at this point, we haven't done the design. We don't know all the details. We don't know how long lead times are and everything like that. So this is definitely an estimate. Don't hold us to this, but we think that we could be done with construction by October of 2022. That's kind of a high level estimate. Any questions about the timeline, knowing I'm going to talk about design and the different contracting times?
The general timeline for completion is puts a smile on my face.
Yay. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's just my 10 cents. Other people's comments at this point? Just chime in and I won't call on you if you do.
I have a comment, and my comment sort of is related to what we just talked about, Sherwood broadband. And I talked again, Joe, about this. If we suddenly announce, hey, we're building a bridge, I think the citizens are going to want to know, well, how are we doing that? And so I feel like there's this other information, a page or announcement or process where we maybe have to kind of go back and describe, well, we had a URA, it gave us all these wonderful projects. Now we have 2 URAs and we have a list of projects. And one of those is, I know we've had these meetings, we've had these, documents created, but I just feel like, boom, if we announce July, we're building a bridge, then I think I just want to make sure we cover all the necessary informational steps. So we bring I don't think I've run across anybody who's against the bridge, but I don't want to surprise the community by announcing there's a bridge.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. And that's one of the reasons why we want to do that 30% design. We don't necessarily want to say, this is exactly what you're going to get and when, because we don't know. And so we want to get the cost estimates nailed down a little bit more. And that allows us the time, and I'm sort of jumping ahead, but if we were to move into immediately a design build, we'd really need to have that money identified before we start that process. By moving into this 30% design, it allows us to get a lot more detail, but we're only committing that work for a 30% design and we're not committing the full project. So it kind of allows us to, it gives us a little bit of breathing room to get all of our ducks in a row about how we would cobble together the funding for this project.
Well, and that's the other part of it. If the council's intent is to, once URAs are set up, is that we borrow against future revenue or whatever that plan is, I feel like that we need to make sure that the citizens understand that process is a pretty normal process. I think the city, I can't remember, did they borrow some money for the, I don't remember, but I know that that's not an, it has been done before. It's done all the time in other cities. I just want to make sure the public understands, the process.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, the key message is we're doing this hopefully without raising your taxes. And I think that's going to be a key point we'll need to get out there. Because that required a lot of, I shouldn't say quite, I think that's the biggest fear people have. Some people have that this is going to cost a lot of money and we're going to raise their property taxes to do it. That's not our goal. That's not what we're for.
Yeah, to Russell's point, I think that there are a lot of people that are for it. I don't think there's necessarily a lot of people that are against the bridge, but maybe aren't super excited about a bridge or not feel that they won't be impacted as much by the bridge. I wouldn't say they're against it, but yeah, if you're talking about tax dollars, then you might find some people against it. But
Right.
Yeah. From a timing, for me, the big, whatever the kind of date of significance is July 1, because that's when you'll for sure be done with the legislative session, and we'll know if we're getting any money from them.
Right.
And so then that's also part of the news. Hey, we got the money recommitted, maybe more, maybe less. Yeah, and then we'll be able to pursue some other dollars, and then with some urban renewal dollars, we have a project.
And it's not, sorry, Kim, I know it's not an unknown project because even Councilor Rosenthal was mentioning it tonight in passing. And I thought, that's awesome. I mean, I think people are aware this is going to be a big deal, I think, for us. So sorry, Kim.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I was just gonna say, people, their tax dollars is what's important. But I also think like the Urban Renewal Agency, when we say that funds are going to come from that might not be easily understood either. Like before I was on council, I didn't understand how a URA worked. So I think there might be some, explaining there too for folks. But
oh yeah, not it. The same 8,000 people or 7,000 people, however many that were here when we built the library, City Hall, and the Old Town streets. It's not the same. Not all of them are here, and then now we're a town of 20,000 and change. So FAQ and some information sharing is certainly important.
Yep.
So Juliet,
Yes.
you didn't cover, there's one more note that you just,
Yeah, again, the animation. Sorry, I thought I was going to be cute, but it's throwing me off. A note that we just wanted to add is that we will likely contract with a project manager that is specialized in bridge structures, just to make sure that it goes really smoothly, because this is a huge structure over a highway, actually multiple roads. And so that's probably something that we'll factor in as we get further down the line.
Yep.
Awesome.
Excellent note.
Good idea.
Okay, next. Okay, so stepping back, I told you I was going to talk about the different design types, and this is going to be really quick. We can dive in more if you want to. And again, Bob's here to answer the questions, but just wanted to highlight what's different about the design work that we need to do versus what we did with the feasibility study. The 30% design, with the feasibility study, we didn't do any surveys. We didn't do, utility locates. I mean, it was pretty high level. And so the 30% design, we'll do survey work to confirm grade elevations, identify any major obstacles, identify exact locations of the endpoints of the structures, do some geotechnical work to confirm loads, and then really start to nail down the cost estimates. At 60% design, that's where we start to finalize critical design items, specific locations of layouts and ramps. The utility conflicts have been identified and solutions have been presented, cost estimates updated, and then we're able to start drafting the project specifications. At 90% design, that's when we're really finalizing all the project components. Everything is really known and starting to be pinned down pretty tightly. This is also when, if there was any right-of-way acquisition, that we would start that, easements, right-of-way acquisition. I don't know if there's going to be any, but if there was, that's the phase that you start really entering that. And there's not really a lot of changes at that 90% design. And then we have final cost estimates. And then 100% is basically the plans are stamped and ready for construction bidding and specifications, and we have very specific cost estimates. And so where we're wanting to go is to get to that 30% design, and then we'll have the choice of design build or design bid build. Design build is essentially, again, Bob is the expert on all of these things, but design build is essentially, we do an RFP for design build, and one entity with subs that they choose, and however they choose, make the project work. So the designer and the construction contractor really work together. The pros is that there are often reduced risks because there's ongoing collaboration throughout the process. The timelines can be shorter for that same reason. And it may be easier to budget The con is that you're likely to have higher prices. So you're going to know what you're going to get early on in the process. There aren't going to be major surprises, but because of that, you're going to pay a higher price. There's not a bidding opportunity for, lowest bidder type stuff. And you can lose creativity and creative control, because once you give it to them, for the most part, they're doing the work. They're building what we told them to build. And there isn't necessarily a lot of check-in back and forth. Design, bid, build, there's more control over the project construction costs because of the competitive bidding process. You can have better project clarity sort of upfront and throughout the process, and more input on the project design as the project owner. The cons is that the cost can be a little bit more fluid, because the designer is doing their job, and they may not, there may be issues in communication between the design and the contractor. And so there could be a little bit more communication issues, and then also some longer timeframes because of the two hiring processes, because you have to do RFP and timeframes for both of those.
So
yeah.
So a question on that. I got two questions. So the first one is, with a design bid build process would sometimes can eliminate prefab companies, because a design that you do in a vacuum without those other organizations involved will call for something they can't do. Is that?
Well, I think that's why by doing the 30% design, we essentially are saying, we want you to design this project with this bridge we would select the prefabricated structure during that 30% design process, and tell the design bid builder, this is what we want you to finish designing and build.
Okay.
Bob, is that an accurate statement?
Yes, it is accurate. For both of these things, in the design bid build, the 30% level, basically we're assured of what the citizens and the council and elected officials want in a bridge design. That would be tied down during the 30%. At the 30% level, you basically can hand over that bridge design to the project manager for design build, or you can hand it over to the engineer, who's going to still work with the manufacturer to make sure he's got everything squared away for the rest of it, for the design of the rest of it. But basically the bridge itself will be ready to go as far as what you're expecting, what style, all the amenities and stuff like that will have taken care of at 30%.
So if I'm hearing that right, if I could read it back kind of in the context of our original conversations, when ODOT came back with those really high estimates, I think they were looking at a very pure design, then someone build. What we're talking about here is kind of the best of both worlds, where we can take advantage of these companies they can do these prefab structures, but structure it in such a way that we can potentially get some savings by contracting out the construction costs. Is that, or bidding?
It basically is trying to bring everything up as quickly as possible while still maintaining some creativity for decision making up to a point. Once that point is reached, then you can go either way. It gives you the maximum flexibility to hand it off and let somebody else deal with the rest of it, or to take it as a design bid build. It's a hybrid.
And at this point, we don't feel like, if we were to just do a design build, we have no idea what we're getting. What kind of bridge structure, what kind of artistic element, what issues are there? And so we want to get, and the bullet on the bottom, we recommend doing some additional design work, because we want to be able to have something more definitive. Say it's going to be prefab, say it's going to be wood or whatever we choose, say it's going to have these artistic elements, and here are the endpoints, and here's what we know, and we're going to have these ramps, and then they can sort of hone it, if you will, through the rest of the design process. But we'll have answered the bulk of the questions. And I think the big thing between the ODOT estimates and really the preliminary feasibility study estimates were assuming not prefabricated. So prefabricated just saves you costs. Frankly, ODOT's numbers were ODOT's numbers that include, a lot of escalation and
I think they
Federal-
assumed it was a federalized project too.
Yeah,
Certainly a key.
but there are a lot of things right now that you don't know.
right.
And that's why you're trying to do this 30% design. I'll give you one example. You want to put the bridge across Highway 99. On the west side of Highway 99 is all the high power that was just installed for the school district. And it's set at a certain level above grade. You don't know what that level is. You don't even know if you can get the bridge underneath it and clear it in the proper elevation that you need. You don't want to be playing around with that at the, design build phase.
Yeah.
You want that information up front because you need to know exactly what type of impacts you're going to be having for budgeting. This is basically the minimal amount of money to invest to get some certainty about what your needs are. If it gets too expensive, you want to know pretty much up front what that is.
Well,
If
and,
it
right, and then we'll be able to fold that into budget asks, additional
bet.
requests to the state. But right now, we don't have that level of detail. So
No, this gives you some assurances to go out for those funding sources when they say, what is it you've got? What do you need? And, how far have you gotten along with this? You can answer the questions. It's almost shovel ready at that point because you know what you're wanting.
Yep.
Awesome. Love it.
so that's really our presentation. I think the last slide is just, questions, if you guys have any.
So what do you, I sort of regret not having this conversation 2 months ago, but what do you need from us to start the 30% design?
Well, I think just the nod that you want us to proceed with that time frame so that we're really getting ready as close to the beginning of the fiscal year, with all the contracts and everything like that. We do have we did budget for a portion of the bridge project, so I don't believe that it requires any specific budgeting issues. Obviously, it will come back to you when we're wanting to award a design contract. But I guess just if any questions, issues, concerns, slow down until we know that we definitely have more money, or go forth and do as you outlined in the timeline.
So Julia, do you need us all to nod?
I'd like you to.
Yeah.
Doug's not nodding. Oh, there he goes.
All
I
right.
don't know if I saw. Yeah.
Every face I saw was nodding. So that's great. So that's a great feedback. Bob and Julia, from your experience, either directly or indirectly in talking with others, using prefab structures, be it bridges or ramps or all of that, is there a common approach that people take to construct it? Is this
Are you
it?
talking about fabrication?
You mean materials or?
Sorry.
Or-
Talking about
Design.
build versus design bid build. So for prefabs, is there a preferred or more common approach?
If you do it the state method, it basically is design bid build. If you do private, it depends on the bridge. And where it's going, what is it going to be doing? Pedestrian bridges, prefab's fine. And we can do design build around that. That's not a,
when Joe and I met with the one prefabricated manufacturer in Tualatin, I certainly got the sense that they're pretty used to the design build process. So that,
But again, that in my mind is they're used to providing the service of get the bridge installed.
right.
But when you start taking into account, oh, by the way, you also have to do right of way acquisition. You have to do easements. You have to do all this other stuff associated with, where's the sidewalk ramp going to go? What's it going to look like? How much area is it going to take? How do you do this? How do you do that? Everything else that goes along with it. It changes things. That's why I'm saying for private development, private bridges, things across, even our parks projects. If you're going to do any bridging there, that's a lot easier than this as a bid build. Here, we want a bridge right across here. We don't have anything in the way, and we don't have to do a lot except maybe get some permits. That's pretty simple. This is going to be much more complex. So I don't know until we actually get the 30% design,
Yep.
what would be our recommendation because of the complexities that are as of yet undefined.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Julia. Other questions? All right.
Mayor, is this something that as we're proceeding through the spring, coming back and keeping council up to date and a quick update in a work session?
With
Make
this, I think we can put it as part of a work session or just email updates. What's the preference?
Okay.
Does council have preferences?
Well, email until we need a big update, maybe.
Yeah. If we need to give feedback, then let's do a work session. If
Yeah.
it's just keeping us updated, send me emails.
Yeah, and certainly, over the next few months, it's going to be really just more logistics of getting stuff in the paper and advertisements and things like that. So, and even through the contract process, I think where the updates are going to be desired the most is where we're actually talking about the design and the structure.
So
Like
it
that.
could be May, June kind of thing. So,
And maybe this question is too early, but if I remember right, we believe we have all the right of way we need to land the bridge on the school side.
Certainly the feasibility study identified that, but like Bob said, there are details that are yet to be had. There wasn't, there weren't surveys or, so there are some details that we need to confirm that with, but we,
Okay.
We currently believe that, yes.
Okay.
Awesome. And then as you talk with Joe, even offline, as there's news to share that's valuable to give to our lobby firms, we should pass that along. Hey, this is what's happening.
Yep.
This is how serious this community is with this project.
Yeah, just the simple fact that we're spending money on design goes a long ways.
Yeah.
correct.
Well, that, and when I sat in that one session down in Salem, and the one representative who was asking what was our skin in the game, so being able to leverage.
Do you remember my answer to that question was, Kim?
I don't.
My first answer was the safety of our kids. You didn't like that.
That's right.
And also by having that more design work and more defined cost estimates, that also helps counter people who say that our cost estimate is way under. So the more we're able to define and refine that number, the more confident we're going to be that that's an accurate number and be able to demonstrate to others that it's an accurate number.
Awesome.
Ready.
Great job. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much. And yes, let's go forth and design. Very exciting.
Okay.
Anything else to the good of the order before we adjourn? It's only 9:15.
My prediction was 9:30, so we overachieved.
Feels later.
Absolutely.
I'm sure the mayor can use up 17 minutes talking about something.
Oh, Doug, bite your tongue.
Oh, we should go digress into the importance of
You're breaking up.
redundancy, safety. How's the project on the river going? We lost Craig. Craig's not on there.
He's the smart one. Yeah. He's gone.
We're adjourned. Everyone enjoy the balance of your day.